Donald Trump is losing his mind. Whatever is left of his pudding brain has been committed to crazy late night attacks on Truth Social, and the latest example is no different. Donald Trump is either watching TV or deciding how he's going to remodel the White House in the ugliest way, but no matter what, he is furious. And that is what we saw play out today with Trump attacking a Fox host of all people for one of the stranger reasons yet. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into the Fox host that Donald Trump is furious with, I want to start with a Republican voter who called out a Republican congressman in a town hall in which he couldn't answer her question.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I had a couple of related questions. One is I've heard President Trump say more than once that he has lowered drug prices by 1,500%. I'm not sure how that works. And the other is, can you tell me what specific bills we've passed or worked on that would lower grocery prices?
Yeah. Well, ma'am, you're talking about things relative to state level. And so you're mixing federal and state in terms of if you look at what the 18 enumerated powers say, the 18 enumerated powers that every member of Congress holds up their hand and swears an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And most people who run for Congress don't know those 18 enumerated powers. And they don't know the 10th Amendment that says the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states or reserved to the states or the people respectively. And so what I'm saying to you is Oklahoma, if you want to have that conversation about grocery taxes, they've been having that conversation. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but relative to constitutional authority and the way that I have my staff analyze things, what we're allowed to do, okay, what we're allowed to do is it has to be under the framework. We are given tax status, but tell me the federal tax right now on groceries. So what I'm saying is state. You're talking about state. Who's next?
This is what happens when you break out of the Fox propaganda network, when you do not just allow them to dictate how you think and feel about anything. Well, when you really actually begin to question the ridiculous remarks made by our petulant child president every single day, you kind of see the argument fall apart pretty quickly, right? You understand that Trump is lying about everything. Drug prices down 100,000%. Yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. When you unpack even a little bit of what's happening with Donald Trump, it makes no sense. That's why Fox has to exist. That's why it's surprising that he was mad at them. Considering the performance that Stephen Miller put on the other night, it's important to check out before we get into why Trump was so angry.
All of these organized street gangs that are terrorizing these cities, that are dealing these drugs, that are trafficking weapons, that are engaging in organized theft, armed robbery, carjacking, all of them are doing business with, at some level or another, the transnational narco-trafficking organizations. So these street crews are engaged in material support for terrorism, which is the core function of the federal government to defend and protect. Well, President Trump has literally set the people of Washington, D.C. free. They're so happy now that they can just go out and live their lives, go to their favorite restaurant, go to their favorite bar, go to their favorite pool hall, go to their favorite park. You see moms taking kids out to parks they haven't been to in years because they know the police are there. They know that President Trump is there with his law enforcement to protect them. It's a thing of beauty, Sean. But I would say to the mayor of all these Democrat cities, like Chicago, what you are doing to your own citizens is evil. Subjecting your own citizens to this constant bloodbath and then rejoicing in it is evil. And you should praise God every single day that President Trump is in the White House.
If he's going to encourage people to take to the streets over this, I will say anything that happens, he will be responsible for. I did not like his comments. Stephen.
We have hit a new level of lying from this administration with what is happening right now in D.C. They have, as they always do, manufactured a crisis, pretending that crime is exploding, but the only real chaos that's being caused is through the intimidation of them being in Washington. Donald Trump doesn't care about solving a problem. Donald Trump just wants to claim he solved a problem. And that's why he is so furious that Fox, I guess, has not fallen in line enough to praise him for doing nothing, which is why he melted down over Karl Rove. Watch, Fox News segment led to Trump's meltdown over Rhino Karl Rove. GOP operative Karl Rove made an appearance on Fox and Friends Wednesday morning that caused Donald Trump to lash out at the conservative pundit on Truth Social. Rove's comments on Fox were mostly about the Democratic Party, which he made fun of for its tension-filled summer meeting, and he put it struggled to talk like normal people. The DNC consists of party activists elected at state levels and in caucuses and so forth, and so by their very nature, they represent the activist heart of the Democratic Party. And look, they're nutty. Let's not kid ourselves, said Rove. Asked for his warning for Republicans at this moment, Rove said the following: recognize that the coalitions tend to come and go, and that the Republicans need to be aimed not at the hardcore base of the party, but at broadening that, the Republican realm, if you will, by getting independents and ticket splitters and people who might be, somewhat suspect of the Republicans, but need to be wooed in order to win elections. Trump was seemingly offended by Rove's comments. Rhino Karl Rove, when asked on Fox and Friends this morning how to explain the tremendous success of the Republican Party with millions of people joining it and the Dems losing millions, was unable to give an answer. He just couldn't utter the words, President Donald J. Trump. Wrote the president on Truth Social before adding, but that's okay, the people get it and always have. Rove was not asked to explain the tremendous success of the Republican Party during the segment. So not only is Donald Trump lashing out at a Republican on Fox, but he's lashing out at a Republican on Fox because of a false memory. Like Donald Trump is mad at Karl Rove that he didn't reply correctly to the thing that he wasn't asked. This is the level of cognitive decline that Donald Trump is at. He is literally an old man yelling at Fox News clouds. That's what's happening right now. He doesn't understand what he sees, what he hears. All he wants to do is focus on redecorating the White House in the ugliest way possible. That's really it. That is what Donald Trump is after. And as we saw in the first clip of this video, voters aren't happy about it. They're asking, where's my affordability that you promised, Donald? It's not coming. And Amy Klobuchar broke that all down right here.
Donald Trump doesn't have a right to fire a governor on the Federal Reserve, as you just pointed out. No president has ever done this. This is an independent agency acknowledged as such, quasi-private, by the U.S. Supreme Court, not 100 years ago, but just this May. And I am glad, given what Donald Trump's doing, I am glad that Governor Cook is standing up, because you've got a situation here where he's trying to put his thumb on everyone he can find, on the judges, on the Republicans in Congress who seem to be acquiescing every single day to what he wants, on the Federal Reserve. And this is a time to stand up. You think about what the Federal Reserve does here. It looks at this creeping inflation problem that Donald Trump owns. And then you look at the role, the important role they play in standing up for Americans in this economy. But the second piece of this is what you got up way beyond the legal part, is why does he do this? He wants to distract people from what he should own, and that is this economy. Because of the Trump tariff taxes, $2,400 on every single family in America, on what's been happening to farmers in my state with their markets drying up, with the ag economy. You pointed out the John Deere firings and the John Deere terminations, I should say, that are related actually to, they said themselves, to what's happening with the farm economy. Yep. He doesn't want to own it. He blames a statistician. Remember that? Just in the last month? I thought that was ironic, this well-trusted statistician, and he gets bad job numbers, and then he fires someone, making the job numbers worse.
I mean, for the head of the BLS is somebody nobody knew. Lisa Cook is somebody whose name you didn't know. These are these people. He wants to call them the deep state.
Right.
These are these people who just do their work largely behind closed doors.
Right. And so owning this is what he needs to do. Changing his policies is what he needs to do. And we're just seeing the beginnings of this with the effects of these tariffs. And you're just seeing, so far, I think there was just a recent study showing something like 20% of it has been absorbed by consumers, and we're going to see 60% more in the next few months. And by the way, in the biggest cabinet meeting of all, the Minnesota State Fair, where I've been hanging out, while you guys have been glued to watching him at this cabinet meeting, I've been at the real cabinet meeting with 2 million people. They know what's going on. And those are the numbers and the people that you see in these polls where he is tanking on his handling of the economy because their grocery bills don't lie, their rent doesn't lie, their child care bills don't lie, their back-to-school costs for their kids' clothing don't lie, strollers costs, none of this. They know what this is. He cannot fire his way out of this economy.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I'm a big fan of Minnesota and a big fan of State Fair, so I would choose the Minnesota State Fair over pretty much everything else. But let's talk about that, because this is where stats that you have about Medicare, about health care cuts, about SNAP cuts, about agriculture, the $2,400 increase that inflation is going to hit each household, that the Yale Budget Lab has come up with those figures. So that's all figures and numbers, and of course the jobs numbers that he fired somebody for. And then you're out there talking to people. You're out there talking to real Americans. Mm-hmm. $2,400, we learned in the pandemic, and we learned in the recession of 2008. Most regular American folks don't have a whole bunch of extra money for emergencies.
They do not, and we're seeing that shrinking and shrinking as they're eating up their savings, just trying to get by. And what he should be working on, which I believe we should be working on, and that I know the Democratic Party is going to be focused on, is bringing down the cost of housing, building more housing, doing something about child care and getting some innovative partnerships, public-private, when it comes to child care, bringing down health care costs, not kicking 15 million people off their health care as they did in the big, beautiful betrayal of a bill, or not taking care of these premiums that you're going to see skyrocketing in the next few months, both for people on the Affordable Care Act and people on other plans. We've already seen the numbers coming out because they decided instead they wanted to give trillions of dollars in tax cuts to billionaires. That is exactly what happened in the big, beautiful betrayal of a bill. They gave $2 trillion in tax cuts to rich people and then let everyone else suffer. And I'm telling you, the people that come up to me, the real stories of people with their moms in the nursing homes, worried that they're going to they won't be able to afford that anymore. People who have one job and then a second job, but they still need SNAP to help them because they're a single mom. Those are the people that I talk to.
And by the way, the SNAP issue,
the people that are let in his cabinet meeting today.
There's a direct.
Donald Trump's administration is really collapsing and being held together by just the weakest threads. And if you poke holes in the lies that they tell, the obvious lies, it's really easy to start making an argument for Democrats. So let's do that. We're certainly going to on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.